I'm going to call to order the meeting of June 12th school committee meeting. I just have to read a quick statement. I'm so happy to see this large turnout. It's very exciting. But if you bear with me, this meeting is being held in person and or remotely as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 and all other applicable laws, temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You are hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Hingham in accordance with the open meeting law. If any participant wishes to record this meeting, please notify the chair at the start of the meeting in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, so that the chair may inform all other participants of said recording. We have Harbor Media recording, and we are also recording on Zoom for minutes purposes. Is there anyone else who is recording? If you can just raise your hand. Okay, we have one participant who is recording. And then we've got one school committee member who is joining by Zoom, Matt Cosman, and then all other school committee members are here in person. So the next order of business was going to be the school showcase. I was going to ask if you guys mind if we switch the agenda around just a little bit. We've got some retirees that we would like to honor in advance, if you don't mind. Okay.
Sure.
So I'm going to pass it over to Margaret first, and then I'll take over after.
We wanted as a community tonight to welcome folks who are our staff who are retiring and really spend a moment to honor them. And we're glad to have 3 of those retirees here tonight, as well as some others who couldn't make it. But we do want to, as a community, both as the Hingham School Committee, the Hingham administration, and the Hingham educators and the district as a whole, to congratulate the contributions of our retirees. And there's been different ways over the years we've honored our retirees, so we're hoping this is an annual tradition that we can continue over the next couple of years. So the first person I'd like to honor is Madeline Martin from the Foster School. So we have something to present to you, but some words that Mr. Shifley wrote about you to share with the community. Madeline also has a couple of months still to go, and she actually retires in mid-October. So we'll still see her in September and August. Madeline Martin has been an incredible member of the Foster School community. We're going to miss her contributions to our school immensely. She's never stopped being a lifelong learner who's been willing to try new practices in her classroom. And I personally have witnessed that when I visited your classroom this year. She has created a classroom environment in which students feel supported so that they are eager to learn and participate. Her connections to our students is phenomenal. Madeline has a calming presence that positively impacts students, staff, and families. Thank you, Madeline, for all that you have done for the students at Foster and our school community. So we have some gifts for you tonight today. Next, I'll welcome Mr. Swanson to come up and honor his retirees. He has 2.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Adams, and we're delighted to have Monica Black here tonight. I wasn't sure if I'd have an opportunity to speak or not. I'll read what I wrote and then maybe just comment briefly. We're also honoring Dan Clune tonight, one of our science teachers and a great coach, who also will be retiring in just a few short days. It's a very bittersweet time at the high school, as it is across the district. I'll start with first what I wrote for the program about Monica tonight. Over the course of several decades and in numerous capacities, Monica Black has served Hingham Public Schools with tireless devotion. Her impact has been enormous, especially at the high school, where most recently she helped to manage the main office for more than a decade. In that role, a full accounting of Monica's job description would require volumes. She did everything from managing the school calendar and updating the website to fixing paper jams in the copiers and greeting all visitors to the school. We truly would need volumes this thick to list all the things that Monica Black did for Hingham High School. In many ways, she has been the face of Hingham High School, and we could not have asked for a better person to fulfill that unique and powerful role. And I'd need a lot of time to try to summarize all of that. I will just say it's a small miracle that we've got to the last week of the school year without Monica at her desk over the last several months. Since she left us a few months ago, it's been a particular challenge. We're lucky to have a great person stepping into that role, but her shoes truly cannot be filled. She's been irreplaceable and just a wonderful person whose fingerprints are all over our school and whose impact will be felt for many, many years to come. So Monica Black. Yeah. Thank you, Monica. That's for you, and we also have more. Luckily, we've got relatives here to help Monica carry all of this loot home with her. We've got, raise your hand, Monica's family. Yeah, both of our kids. Proud Hingham High alums, and glad you could be here tonight, too. Oh, my goodness, yeah. How many more of us will be retired by 2038 when they get there? There will be a lot of us. Also, did not want to overlook Dan Clune, although he's not in the room tonight. We will say a sad farewell to Dan Clune in a few days. Here's what I had written about Dan. Dan has been a huge contributor to Hingham High School and our entire community since first joining the faculty in 1996. After leaving a career as an electrical engineer, Dan found his true calling as both a teacher and a coach. He has taught a variety of science classes over the years, including physical science, chemistry, and physics, in addition to serving as the high school's primary electronics teacher. While inspiring students in the classroom, Dan extended his positive impact for more than 20 years as a coach with the HHS golf and basketball programs. In the classroom and beyond, and whether coaching boys or girls, he established meaningful connections and made a positive difference in the lives of many hundreds of young people. So we're very grateful for Dan Clune, and he deserves a great tribute tonight as well.
I'll invite up Miss Eastwood to honor the retirees at South.
Good evening, everybody. How's everyone doing tonight? It's nice to have such a big crowd. I will echo the sentiments. Fabulous. Okay, so I want to thank the school committee and Dr. Adams and Ms. Roberts for giving me this pleasure of celebrating Lisa Reith and Cece Hanlon. Cece could not be here tonight. We'll explain why in a few minutes. But Lisa Reith's, we'll start with Lisa Reith's long and amazing career. Lisa, you so deserve this honor. Also, welcome to Frank Reith, Lisa's husband. We're so glad to have you here tonight as well. Lisa Reith has been in the Hingham Public Schools since 1985, 38 years. I think you're the only one longer than me. I mean, almost as long as me. She began her career as an excellent substitute teacher, preschool to grade 6 for 6 years, taking 1 year off to go teach in California. But luckily, she didn't stay on the left coast. She came back. Lisa could magically teach any grade and any subject adeptly, so she was definitely a much sought-after substitute. Times were tough in the late 80s, I feel like the old woman here, and early 90s, and securing a permanent position took a lot of perseverance, which is Lisa's middle name. During this time, Lisa even broadened her certification to encompass K through 6, and I am sure the then principal, Judy Monahan, kept wishing that she had a permanent position so that she could hold on to this gem of a teacher. That eventually happened for Lisa in a 3rd grade classroom in the year 1992. Only to be, and I put it on pink paper on purpose, only to be pink slipped at the end of the year and then luckily brought back. So pink is now A wonderful thing, right? Luckily brought back in grade 1 for the 92 to 93 school year. Lisa then taught grade 1 for 19 years, followed by 12 years in grade 2. She thrived in grades 1 and 2, where her gift of being able to teach the foundations of literacy and math, as well as lighting the passion for learning in her students, made her a shining example to all others. I particularly have a memory of being the supporting special education teacher in Lisa's first grade in the early 90s. Having come from teaching high schoolers, you can imagine what a shock it was to me when I first got to the elementary school. She was such a great example and mentor to me. I always marveled at her ability to be able to break down learning and differentiate for her students while conveying high expectations, and even though that had not become a common practice in education yet. She did an amazing job in all of those positions as an always creative, versatile, and energetic staff member. Lisa deserves the exemplary adjective when it comes to her effect on the professional culture at South School as well. 25 years ago, she took it upon herself to create the very popular METCO mentoring program at South. She was constantly working with other staff members, coming up with ways to make sure that our METCO students always felt that they truly belonged to our South Village. She has also followed all of the students as they have matriculated through the grades to still give them support when they need it and to celebrate their successes. The program continues to this day, and very recently, Lisa did a wonderful presentation at a staff meeting as she so wants this program to continue. She inspired not one, but 2 volunteers to continue this legacy and is already mentoring them to take over. Mentoring is natural to Lisa, and she's always just done it selflessly, helping all new colleagues and teammates over the decades. This includes rookie principals like myself 11 years ago. In the last 3 years, she took over the all-important role of the building liaison position for the wonderful teacher-staff mentoring program, run by Jen Driscoll, who happens to be in the room, that we have in the Hingham Public Schools. True to form, she also made sure that all of our new teacher hires, of which there have been many, felt supported and a sense of belonging to South School. Lisa has touched so many lives, children and adults alike. It goes without saying that the hundreds of students who Lisa taught were always so important to her. She worked hard to make sure that each one could reach their highest potential. This has been true each and every day, and the adults and teammates that she mentored along the way have also flourished due to her efforts. Lisa has touched so many lives, and her legacy will live on in the hearts of all of the students, families, and staff who have known and loved her. South School and the Hingham Public Schools are indeed fortunate that this gem of a teacher found a permanent position after much perseverance, as her legacy is immeasurable. It is also worth mentioning that she will be honored as an excellent educator at the Boston Red Sox game this Saturday due to a parent nomination. Congratulations, Lisa. We are also, unfortunately she couldn't be here tonight because she actually did retire in December and has taken on her retirement with gusto. So she's not in the state right now. But we are also honoring another amazing South School professional, Cece Hanlon, who retired in December of 2022. She was a South School angel for decades. First as a South School mom, then as a PTO president, and the last decade she was our computer science and technology specialist. We are so grateful to her for all she did for South School. She was an amazing computer science teacher, patient with all of the students, and especially patient with the principal, who needs a little help in the technology field, I'll admit it. She showed amazing loyalty and care, and we all are so grateful to what she did for us all during COVID. You know, Cece, everybody works 24/7 in education, but I do think during COVID that Cece worked 48/7. And there's a lot of South School staff members here, and I know that they would say, and Cece would come running and fix things left, right, and center. I personally have a memory of the night of September 3rd, 2020, when I had a Zoom with 600 people on it. I'll never forget it as long as I live. And Cece was there with me, holding my hand the entire way because we had to get the 600 people onto the Zoom. I think we've all had that experience. And to have a technology specialist that was so loyal and so amazing, there wasn't a night meeting that I did my whole career as a principal that Cece wasn't there. So she always gave of herself, and we are so grateful for all she has done. And I literally want to tell you the story of her last week of work. She worked till December 31st. I, too, also worked that week, and she was there every single day, all day long. Now, could she have taken that time off? Yes, because it was school vacation, but she did not. She worked every single day, even New Year's Eve, up until 6 o'clock to get everything ready for her successor. And she was so genuine and amazing to her successor, and we are just so grateful that she worked at South School. She was always there for her students and our staff, and we were so grateful for her expertise. No wonder Lori Jacobs, our assistant principal, always said that when Cece walked into her interview the day that we hired her, she had a halo on her head. And that halo lived on, and she definitely was our South School angel. So we wish her an amazing retirement. She is enjoying herself in a much warmer place than here, and we thank her so much for all she has done for South School and always being a model of kindness and, of course, and those of you who knew her well, great fashion. Okay, all right. Thank you, Cece Hingham.
I'll welcome Mr. Smith to honor his retiree.
Thank you very much. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak about Suzanne Hallisey this evening. But I'm not going to thank you for letting me follow Mary Eastwood. She is not an easy act to follow. We were fortunate 7 years ago to have Suzanne Hallisey come to Hingham Middle School and take on the role of school nurse. She was an incredibly kind, caring person, caring for our students and staff, and just transforming what the health suite at the middle school was. It was more than a place where kids would go to get a Band-Aid or an ice pack. It became a place where you went if you just needed that little extra something. And she always knew what that little extra something was. She gave you what you needed so that you get through the day to the best of your ability. Suzanne is just an incredibly compassionate person, and she recognized that the job of the school nurse is different from that of a nurse outside of a school setting. There's much more to that job than students' physical health. She took care of their emotional health and their social well-being. She went well outside of the role of school nurse and took on roles after school, teaching yoga to students and staff, doing wellness activities to really help our kids take care of themselves, walking clubs and things that help them to focus on being good people and the whole child. So she's not with us this evening. She is also enjoying her retirement. She started a little early this school year, and we do miss her incredibly, but we wish her well in her retirement and thank her for her years of service. So thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you very much. And if you'll bear with me, I have just a few words that I'd like to share as well. I want to take a moment to celebrate and honor some truly remarkable educators. It's with mixed emotion that we say farewell and express our deepest gratitude for our retiring teachers. We have been so fortunate to benefit from their commitment to education and our students. And I frequently share the stories of the impact teachers have had on me personally, even to this day. I'm not going to say how many years later. I'm not an educator, and I could not do what you do day in and day out. My only claim to fame on imparting any wisdom on students was when I was able to volunteer to coach a before-school program called Boxed. A dad of a student recently shared with me some of the my healthy box tips that I share with the kids, and that it's made its way into the family discussions as the student was still requiring the number of hours of sleep that he needed, and he was imparting this wisdom on his family recently. So I just wanted to share that these lessons stay with the kids, and that they bring them to their families. Now, if I could only have that work on my own kids, I'd be doing something well. I know that there are current and former students who will have similar stories about each of you. I hope these messages of gratitude make their way to you. I wish I could find some of the teachers that have had the impact on me. I look for them on Facebook. I can't find some of them, but I have been able to find a few of them. You've shaped the minds of students and inspired so many to reach their full potential. The impact extends far beyond the classroom walls, leaving an indelible mark on the future leaders. Retirement marks the end of an era for these educators, but it also signals a new chapter filled with well-deserved relaxation and personal pursuits. May your retirement be filled with joy, good health, and countless new adventures. Congratulations and best wishes on this new chapter of your lives. On behalf of the school committee, we wanted to share with you the bouquet of flowers. I was so happy to see the purple rose when I picked them up, and purple is meaningful to me. I'm a PRS alum, I guess. My kids are alums, and it's our color, and it's the color of the wizard. And it's the favorite color of a former a student that we lost too soon. So it's always inspiring when I see that color. And I just love that it's the color that represents unity. So we thank you very much for your service. So if you'd like to stay, you're welcome to. But if you don't,
But your
I
service is
understand.
also done. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. I don't know if the screen's working. Okay. All right, so thank you for allowing us to change the order of the agenda and allowing us to honor those retirees. This is another favorite part of the meeting where we get to do student showcases. So I'm going to, we have two schools tonight, and I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Adams.
We are double booked tonight, so we're going to let the younger students go first tonight with Plymouth River, as Mr. Lamont. I know Mr. Lamont is here. Yeah. We'll invite you and your students and staff to come up and share in the students' showcase. This is, again, an opportunity to just hear a little bit about what's going on in the schools and highlight our students and the efforts of our educators in the school.
So first, thank you for having PRS here. What you are going to see today is Miss Vella reached out to me with a former student that she had of hers and sort of worked through our students being pen pals with those at a community center here and working back and forth to sort of build the relationship between the community and our school. And so without further ado, I'll let Miss Vella sort of speak to how her kids work together with our community.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lamont. Thank you all. Good evening, Dr. Adams and school committee members and guests. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Meryl Vella, and I've been teaching at Plymouth River School Elementary for the past 20 years. Tonight I'm here along with my current students and Max Bohane to share with you a unique writing program that has created a lasting friendship with residents at the memory care facility, the Cord Wainer, and my 5th grade students. The Pen Pal project was created by one of my former students, Max Bohane, and he is here with us tonight. I was fortunate to have Max in my 5th grade class during the 2018 and 2019 school year at PRS, and there he is as a 5th grader. Not only is he a gifted artist, but he is a young man that is truly a role model for all my students to look up to in life. As I shared with Sue Scheibel, a journalist from the Patriot Ledger, that wrote an article about Max and the Pen Pal project that appeared in the April 11th edition this year. He has always been a very considerate person of others and is very genuine. As a student, Max always looked for ways to make people's lives a little brighter. And it's my hope that my current students and future students will continue to reach out to members in their community and look for ways to help make their worlds better by their friendship. And I can honestly say to you, my life and my students' lives this year has been better for knowing Max. Max reached out to me in September of 2022 and asked if my students and I would like to be involved in this project where we would be writing to the residents of a memory care facility at the Cord Wainer. In his first email explaining his vision, Max wrote to me, I quote, "I approached the directors at the facility with the idea of starting the Pen Pal project with the residents there and a class of Hingham students. My idea was that I could design and print a special note card that each resident and student would use to write back and forth to one another. This way, especially for those who have memory issues, when the mail arrived, they would see the same design of the card arriving over and over again, and they would know who was writing to them and find comfort and joy over that. Having loved ones who suffered from dementia, he realized that pictures can help aid in jogging one's memory. After receiving Mac's initial email explaining his vision, not only was I extremely honored that he reached out to me as his former fifth grade teacher, I was also incredibly interested in working with Max to promote this important lesson. When I brought Max's project idea to Mr. Lamoth, he was equally impressed and encouraging for my students to participate in this project, so thank you. Max envisioned that twice a month the students could write a letter to their assigned pen pals and the residents would write the students back. With the help of his mother, Marie Bohane, the letters from the school would be delivered to the facility throughout the year. He had hoped that the letter writing would be a chance to encourage the human connection with participants and students and definitely brighten the day of those receiving the letters. The beautiful note cards, which Max will speak to in a minute, that he designed and created for this program illustrate the bond that the students and residents have formed throughout the school year. I'm happy to report this unique writing program achieved all the goals that Max had set and more. Somita Ray, the program director at the Cordwainer, who could not be with us tonight, but asked me to pass along these words about the value of this program and the impact that it made on her residents at the memory care facility. She wrote, "I cannot express how grateful I am to Max Bohane to take the initiative and build an intergenerational bridge between the seniors at our facility and the fifth grade students of PRS through the Pen Pal project. As a former teacher, I will always encourage students in programs like this and help create a bond in the busy technical world of today and teach the value of respect to senior members of our community." The whole program brought so much joy to the residents in their daily life. It was an emotional boost for our residents as many missed their grandchildren. The connection they made with the children by expressing their emotions was so valuable. They got to know each other's families, their hobbies, and even shared events from their past and current lives. One of the residents said, "Nowadays, no one seems to write anymore. I am happy that I can participate as I do not know how to use computers." They loved also when the children drew pictures in their cards for them. Somita went on to say that another resident who was in his last days was so touched with this program and so happy when Max came to see him, and later stated, "It is so impressive to see parents who are encouraging of this creating a bond with our seniors. Most of the times we feel left out. We are a memory care facility and some of our residents are not as outspoken. This program helped us to find out things about the residents who live there. For instance, one resident opened up and shared a lot of his childhood stories. He used to play guitar when he was younger, and for months I had been asking him, as well as the music therapist, to play for us, but his answer was always no. After sharing about his hobby with his pen pal, he decided to begin playing his guitar again and is proudly doing so in his room. It's a joy for the staff at the Cordwainer to know that we are helping the residents to write things to their pen pals at PRS, and we are helping to engage in several memorable conversations about their lives. It's so nice to have the children also join us on May 25th for a field trip to meet their pen pals in person. She states, overall, I would say the impact that had been created by this program was not only phenomenal, but can't be expressed in words. Max Bohane would now like to speak to you about the significance of the design of his note cards And after Max speaks to you, I will have my current students share with you in their own words how meaningful the project was for them. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Max Bohain. I just finished my freshman year at BC High. When I was at PRS, I had Ms. Vela as my 5th grade teacher, and she was my favorite, so I immediately thought of her when I wanted to start this project. I know Ms. Vela she spoke about the project itself, and so I'll describe how the artwork was created. I gave each you a note card that I designed. These are the exact note cards that both the students and the residents wrote to each other with. The same design was used for every time for memory purposes. The note card shows hands forming a heart, representing the bond of the friendship that the pen pals will form with each other. I chose to use the color purple throughout the background since the color represents dementia awareness. The words printed on the card, "Making friends, making memories," is the motto for the project. My hope was that a friendship would form between the pen pals and that they would create new memories that would last a lifetime. I'm so thrilled to see this project in action and serving the purpose that I intended. Now I'll let the students speak. Thank you for your time.
Hi. Hi. Wait.
It's okay.
Hi. My name is Ellie O'Donnell. One thing I enjoyed about the writing program was I was able to be a friend with someone that might be lonely.
Hi, my name is Grayson Tien. As much as the senior citizens loved hearing from us, it was nice for them to interact and talk with us. I think that in a way it was beneficial for us too. As a 5th grader, we have many things going on during our school day. This program felt like it offered us a break to share with our new friends about our lives and all the amazing things we do. It was such a wonderful exercise to stop and be grateful for all fascinating experiences we get to be a part of. Later on, when we were writing our last few letters, I felt like I was writing to a person I've been friends with for years. It's amazing to think that one little act can make such a difference. I would like to thank Max and Miss Vela for giving us the opportunity to make a positive impact on the senior citizens' lives.
Hi, my name is Laura Burns. When I first heard we were going to have pen pals, I was excited and a little nervous. Over time, we developed a stronger bond and started sharing many things with our new friends, including how many siblings we had, what we enjoyed doing for hobbies, where we went on vacation, and many other fun things about our lives. Eventually, we went to the Cordwainer Memory Care Facility to meet our pen pals. Meeting them was fun and exciting. We were able to talk to each other and even played bingo together. Even though the school year is coming to an end, I plan on still writing letters to my friend. I've really enjoyed being a part of this special writing program.
Hi, my name is Georgia Clark. The experience of going to the memory care facility and writing to my pen pal was such a fun experience. When I first heard that my class and I were going to have a pen pal, I got so excited. As we wrote and wrote, we got one step closer to visiting them in real life. On May 25th, we finally went to meet our friends in person. I spent my visit with my friend and we talked about all of her hobbies. Before we said goodbye, my class sang to our buddies. When I think about this trip, I knew it was so important to them because they don't really have many visitors. I knew the visit meant a great deal to my friend when I saw her face lit up during our visit. Hi, my name is Maya Holbrecht. One thing that I enjoyed about writing to the senior citizens was when we got to meet them. I love when we met them because we got to play bingo. I helped my pen pal recognize the numbers and letters that were on the bingo board. At first, I had to point out the numbers and say them out loud. Later on in the game, she started to remember the numbers and letters. At the end of my visit, my friend won the bingo game and had the biggest smile on her face. Hi. Hi. It doesn't need to be right now. Okay. Hi, my name is Annie Farrington. One thing I enjoyed about the Pen Pal program is how it was designed to help our friends with their memory loss issues. There were many ways that we helped them. First, the cards that Max created and we sent them had the same design on the front of the cover so our friends would know the letter was from us. Second, we told them about our life and we learned about our lives, so the stories we shared helped them to recall special memories that were important to them. Lastly, we visited our pen pals at the memory care facility. While we were visiting, we had a chance to talk more to them and get to know them even more. This has been a wonderful experience, and I'm glad I was a part of it this year.
Hi, my name is Liv Torok. One thing that I enjoyed about writing to my pen pal was building a relationship with my friends. We did many things to build this relationship. We took it one letter at a time by answering assigned questions to build a relationship. Lastly, later on in the year, we were finally able to visit our friends. It was lots of fun, and we enjoyed finally meeting our pen pals, playing bingo together, and eating popsicles. Thank you for listening to our presentation, and I hope you enjoyed hearing about this as much as we enjoyed participating in this program.
Thank you all so very much. I guess the color purple is weaving its way into the theme tonight, at least in my mind. As I've been personally impacted by Alzheimer's, which I'm sure there are plenty of people in this room, so I really appreciate all of the things that you guys are doing, and I know that you are bringing such joy to all of those people. And Max, you continue to inspire me. I have purchased his work. He's so gifted and so thoughtful and so generous. And I know that I was your favorite box coach, but I will take a backseat to Ms. Vella because I can appreciate how amazing she is. So I'm so grateful to you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We have tonight another showcase to showcase our students' work. I'll invite Mr. Smith to come up to get them started, as well as our 8th grade team, civics team, and students who will be sharing tonight.
All right, hello again. And thank you again for having the middle school here this evening. I was going to warn those 5th graders as they were up here. We were scouting out our future talent for when we come back here. They've already proven that they could do it. That was impressive. That was great. To be that young and to be able to present to a group like this is outstanding. They should be very proud. So this evening we have a group of 8th graders who I'm equally proud of, and they're being accompanied by Miss Jennifer Driscoll, 8th grade U.S. History and Civics teacher, and they're going to talk about their civics projects that they've been working on for these past several weeks. The Hingham Public Schools lists among its core values civic and global responsibility, and we get them started young. Our 8th graders are taking on issues that are important to them and trying to affect change here locally in our community. So they're going to talk more about the process and what they've been working on, and I'd like to turn it over now to Mrs. Driscoll. Thank you.
So as many of you know, in 2018, our whole social studies curriculum for the state changed. It changed greatly. And one of the really important and interesting changes was that Governor Baker signed into legislation a Civics Day project. It's a project that's required by every 8th grader in the entire state, as well as once over the 4 years in high school. So we have had a really, really unique experience. Myself, alongside my colleagues, Mark McCulloch and Mark Huntington, our team is all here, and you'll be hearing from them later as well. But we have been learning alongside our students and really some really, really important lessons. About, I think, 3 years ago, our director, Andy Hoy, received an impressive grant from the Hingham Education Foundation to purchase a curriculum from something called Generation Citizen, and we're actually lucky enough to have received another grant this year from the Hingham Education Foundation for our first ever Civics Day showcase. So if you would, yep. So it's all in with the idea of ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country, from the famous words of course, our President John Kennedy. So we have a variety of topics, but basically the students have been led through a process where they've learned about and talked about the many wonderful, wonderful assets and that the community offers them. We talk about lots of positive community, assets, and then we focus in on and gain consensus as a class on a community-focused issue. So I have a few students today who are going to talk real briefly about some of their issues and what they've learned, but I wanted to just show you also some of the other things that we've been doing for civics. So in addition to the civics projects that we've been doing each class, so we have 15 projects going on right now, Mr. McCulloch, Mr. Huntington, and I, which has been quite a learning experience. Also, for the first time ever this year, we had four student groups go to the Edward M. Kennedy Institute for the Senate just last week. We had never participated before. We are excited about the idea of being part of the state competition. We didn't even know what we were really getting ourselves into, and all of the students did a phenomenal job. And one of our groups even was given an award at the ceremony at the end, so it was extremely impressive. We also had our second annual Community Expert Panel Day, and thank you to many of you all for being there and joining us and helping our students to understand their civic duty. And lastly, this Wednesday, and we invite you all, of course, to attend. We're having our first ever Civics Day student-led project showcase. So we're very, very thrilled for that as well. So I'm going to turn it over to, I have 3 different very courageous representatives here. When I asked them, to participate in this, I didn't tell them, of course, I didn't know that they'd have so many of their former teachers here. Very impressive. I'm extremely impressed and grateful to you guys for coming. So this first is Brianna.
All right, so we as a class, we chose the issue of turf fields because we thought that it was really important and that we could really use another one in the town. To do that, we decided that our best course of action would be to gather as much information as possible and then present it to town officials like you guys and other people in the town so that everyone could offer their opinions and it wouldn't just be one class doing it. It would be the entire town working on it. So yeah.
So Brianna's class actually was the class that received the award at the Edward M. Kennedy Institute for the Senate as well, so congratulations. My next class, we have Fiona Hogan and Casey Joseph here, fresh off the baseball field.
Hello, I'm Fiona Hogan.
And I'm Casey. Thank you.
And our class decided to focus on the issue of crosswalks. But not just crosswalks, the crosswalk in front of our school. It has a giant dip at the end of it. So whenever it's raining, you have to avoid it and run into the street, which is bad because you could get hit by a car.
And it's it was pretty cool because we got to hear from J.R. Fry, the town engineer, as well as Rosie, our amazing crossing guard. And it was cool because I don't walk to school that often, but I have. But I never never clicked in my mind that there was a problem. But it was cool to hear how we were gonna fix it, the stages that it had to go through in the town. It'll be pretty cool to know that it was our class that fixed it, because there's gonna be hundreds of kids that walk through there. So Driscoll E Block that fixed it. If anyone's wondering.
We also learned that sometimes there's a lot of like criteria that goes into putting a crosswalk in a road. I learned that some roads are like too big or too wide, and that some like you have to have, like meet like certain requirements with like the accessibility of it and just like disabled people.
Yeah, it has to be like a certain height. You have to have the ramp and the little bumpy things. So. What were they called? Yeah. Anyway, so like if you're a blind person, they can feel like where the road ends. It was actually pretty cool.
Thank you. It's interesting how these projects kind of transform, because originally their intention was crosswalks, and then they went from crosswalks after learning from so many people in the community. What they learned with all of the classes, they then kind of hone in on one specific goal that they're trying to reach. And so we learned more about this crosswalk than you would ever believe, and we're really looking and hoping to help fix it, so we're excited about that. My final student that's here is Griffin Blidner, F block.
So our policy goal was to address the issues of cell towers, and we decided that the best bet would be to advocate for partial towers on telephone poles. We decided to talk to the executive branch along with the planning committee. So we mainly talked to the select board, the planning committee, and a couple other people. I think one of you was also at the community panel day. But we did find out certain places in town have worse cell signal than others, but it is generally not very good. So we decided to advocate for the partial towers because it would be cheaper and a better bet, because people don't really want people want the cell service, but they don't really want the eyesore of a big cell tower in their backyard. And we learned that they've also tried to have a community cell tower built in the country club, but they decided against it because it was bad, it didn't look good. So we decided that the partial cell towers would be a good decision to try and advocate for.
So this was just 3 of the 15 projects that we've been working on, and we've learned so much, and we are extremely proud of our 8th grade students. Number one, to the students that are here tonight, but also to all of our students who have been working so hard to learn about their community and to create change. And thank you to you all for responding to 10,000 emails, maybe more. And again, an invite for Wednesday to attend our Civics Day. Thank you.
Students, I appreciate how hard it is to get up here, so thank you. Okay, I guess it's time for the normal course of business.
Yes,
not the
back to
exciting
boring
stuff that puts
stuff.
smiles on my face. Yes, so we'll move over to the minutes. Does somebody want to make a motion?
Hi, we'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the school committee meeting held on May 8th, 2023.
Any discussion? I think we have to do a roll call since we have got Matt online, so I'll start with Matt. I don't know if he can hear us. Matt, can you hear us? Oh, he's on mute. Oh. All right, I'm going to go to the others first. Allie. Aye. Tim.
Aye.
Carrie.
Aye.
Jen.
Aye.
Michelle. Aye. And I'm an aye as well. And we'll see if Matt's is working.
Thumbs up count, or?
Yeah, you want to do a thumbs up?
Thumbs up if you're an aye. Yeah, maybe he can't
Oh,
hear
maybe
us.
he can't hear us. He can't hear us.
Can someone?
Yeah.
Oh, did that work? I heard a little beep, chirp.
I am off mute. All right. He's texting me, actually. If it's May 8th, he's going to abstain. But we'll see if we can get this working.
Can other attendees at home hear? Is it just Matt?
I don't think, is there any,
Oh, yeah.
there are people.
There are people. Sherry, can you see what's written in the chat? Oh, okay. Yeah, he texted earlier.
Can we chat? Can we ask the chat if he He can't hear us.
Yeah. Can you go over to the attendees page, just so we can see who might be there? If one of the attendees, if you can hear us, could you just put in the chat that you can hear us? And then Sherry, if you don't mind. I can hear you. Okay, great.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you. Okay, all right, so I'm going to just keep my phone up with
Matt
Matt's text. All right, so moving on to 5.2, minutes of the school committee meeting held on May 22nd, 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the school committee meeting of May 22nd.
Any discussion?
Just a clarification. It was within the subcommittee reports.
subcommittee
just what
reports,
The
okay.
grant was for.
And I had an edit for Jen as well. Given it was a public hearing, I was going to have the notation made that we adjourn public hearing and then our vote on the school choice after that. So she's got that edit as well. Okay.
Make them the amended version.
Anything else? Okay.
All right, so motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Yes.
I will second.
Any further discussion? No. Okay. All those in favor? Ally? Tim? Carrie? Jen?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Matt? Yeah, can you, if you can.
He typed aye.
He typed aye. All right, and I'm an aye as well. All right, great. Minutes are approved. Okay. All right, so now we are on to item number 6. This is questions and comments. We've set aside 15 minutes to take questions and comments for items not on tonight's agenda. Our practice is to take questions and comments during new business items that are on the agenda. So I'm going to read this statement, the brief statement, so if you can bear with me. The Hingham School Committee encourages community engagement and welcomes questions and comments as agenda items are discussed at the meeting. In addition, we've set aside up to 15 minutes at the beginning of the meeting for comments or questions that fall under the purview of the school committee and are not already on tonight's agenda. If any guest wishes to speak, please raise your hand, state your name and address your comments to the chairperson. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker to the extent that you can and must relate to topics within the scope of responsibility of the school committee. As established by the Massachusetts General Law, the responsibility of the school committee are to 1, select and evaluate the superintendent, 2, review and approve budgets for public education in the district, and 3, establish educational goals and policies for the school and the district. Speakers are encouraged to present their remarks in a respectful manner and to consider the privacy interest of others. The public comment period is not a time for debate or response to comments by the school committee. The school committee is not adopting or endorsing any of the comments made during the public comment period. In addition to this public comment period, the school committee practices to provide time for questions and comments from the public on new business items that are on the agenda. So with all of that said, is there anyone who would like to speak? Okay.
Sorry, Lauren has her hand.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay. All right, and we'll go back and forth between people in the room and people online.
Thank you. Margaret Curran, 9 Harborview Drive. I'm a 22-year resident of Hingham, a parent of 3 children who attended or are attending Hingham Public Schools, 2 of whom receive special ed services for the last 21 years and considerable support from paraeducators. I'm a teacher of 15 years at Hingham Middle School, and finally, I'm a Hingham taxpayer. Members of the school committee, Superintendent Adams, Assistant Superintendent Roberts, and Business Manager Opong, I placed a sign on my lawn endorsing the override. I encouraged my family and friends to vote yes in April, and I support Hingham schools. During COVID, I worked tirelessly to teach math. I distributed paper and pencil assignments, but I couldn't physically collect them. Students did their work on paper, took pictures and posted it online, and I frequently stayed up until 11 p.m. or midnight to type individualized comments regarding their work. Again and again and again, when students didn't complete their work, I reached out to them and their parents to ensure learning continued. I love math. I love teaching. But my biggest passion is my students, their creativity, their humor, their joy. I care about them, their families, and our community. I demonstrated this last November when I wrote to all members of the Select Board, the school community, and the superintendent after 1 a.m. in the morning as I agonized over recent tragedies and pled for immediate community mental health initiatives. Teaching is not my job, it's my vocation. Am I any less than an administrator? Based on the latest Hingham Public Schools budget, I'm compelled to ask. The percent allotted for central office and school building administrator payroll increases is more than the percent allotted for teachers and paras. Furthermore, I've been in 5 negotiation sessions as a silent observer, and the percents proposed for teachers are considerably lower than what's shown on the budget. Administrators, teachers, paras, nursing staff, custodial staff, technology staff, and many others make our schools what they are. As a resident, a special ed parent, a teacher, and a taxpayer, I'd like to know why teachers are not being treated the same.
All right, so we're going to go online. We've got Lauren Davala. If you can just state your name and address, please. If she can't, yeah, she might not be able to talk. All right, she can hear us, right?
Do you want to go to Stephen? Why don't you go to Stephen?
Second?
Why don't you go to Stephen?
Yeah. All right, we'll go with Stephen while we work on this. Give us a moment, Lauren.
Good evening, Cantor Stephen Weiss, 16 Carlton Road in Hingham. Hingham is a town that is welcoming, diverse, accepting, and therefore I rise to ask the school committee to review the policies regarding rental of Hingham public school facilities to outside groups. Understanding the rules of the First Amendment as well as religious expression, I'm concerned that when organizations rent the Hingham public school facilities, that it looks like the Hingham public schools are promoting whatever it is those organizations are doing or supporting or promoting within the walls of the school. Therefore, I'm asking you to take a look at your rental requirements. Consider whether or not it's worth the amount of angst that it causes within the town to rent to groups outside of the Hingham Public Schools. And if it is, then to look very carefully at the policies that you have to make sure that any organization that is renting from the Hingham Public Schools, that it be made very clear that it is without any promotion by the public schools of what is being done there, and there be policies in place that if the promotion of these organizations violates those rules, that there be consequences. Thank you very much.
Okay, next. I don't.
My name is Will Demesh, 287 C Rockland Street. I am a student at East School, first grade. I like paras because if a kid is struggling with a math problem or a reading problem, the para explains a new strategy. I really like paras. They help all of the kids be successful. Go, paras, go.
I'm Maria Zaid. I also live at 287 C. Rockland Street, and I did not write that. I only helped with spelling. Thank you.
Nicole Lytle, 27 Elm Street. I'm a Hingham resident and high school teacher, but before I worked for Hingham Public Schools, my 3 children all graduated from this district. I know the value and quality of a Hingham education. What makes the schools great is not the facilities or the expensive touchscreens, but the people who teach there. My children learn to think critically, write persuasively, and challenge assumptions. Many of their teachers that prepared them so well for college and beyond are now my colleagues. I'm here tonight to ask for a fair contract. We need a fair contract to retain teachers and maintain our standard of excellence. We need a fair contract to take care of our families. We need a fair contract so that we can continue to serve the students entrusted to us. Thank you.
Anne Marie Fennelly, 28 Winthrop Road, town resident, teacher at Hingham High School for the past 27 years, and also a mom to 3 kids who have graduated from the district. I am so disappointed in how this committee has been handling negotiations. I'm sure residents feel that after passing Proposition 2.5, an effort that this union had a direct hand in helping to pass, that this committee would actually follow through with its intentions and take care of teachers and paras, those of us who have an impact on kids' education every single day. You've seen that, you've heard that every day. We do it, us, we always have. That's why so many residents like me, on a tight budget, voted to pay for a tax increase. We voted for that. I can't afford it, but I voted for it. We made the sacrifice to raise our own taxes, and it was and continues to be disingenuous of this committee to not offer good faith bargaining with real movement. Real movement, not a shell game of tactics, not language nuances, but real movement. That's what you should be doing. You're letting the town down, you're letting the students down, you're letting me down, and I think everybody should know it.
Absolutely. Natalie Allen, 15 Forest Lane. I am finding it really special to be in this room for many reasons, because I see former students, current students, parents of former students, even on this committee that sits before me, my colleagues, and teachers of my children who are at the middle school and high school, and have had the privilege of being in so many dynamic rooms in cell school, middle school, and now the high school. I feel compelled to ask for a fair contract for educators and for para-educators who do so many dynamic things that we heard today showcased from the elementary school, from the middle school, and that I have seen every day in every classroom at Hingham High School, and of course in the other schools, but I just happened to see them in Hingham High School. Especially on the heels of such beautiful words from our principals, from our superintendent, for our retirees. I know that this is a town that values education, that values its educators, but I think it's time that you need to show it. Thank you.
I'm Cynthia McKeon. I live at 186 High Street, and I've been a teacher for almost 30 years, and I'm a town resident. I supported, voted for, and helping to pay for the recent override. I want to share concerns I have that I thought were being addressed with the passing of that override. It's distressing that paraprofessionals are not paid a living wage and are still being asked to accept that. They work so hard. Also, after the past difficult few years, which were accompanied by high inflation, as well as large rises in the cost of town health insurance, teachers' salaries have been hugely impacted. I am paying more in taxes because of the override. Hingham teachers deserve a fair contract.
I'm going to pause and just see if we can hear Lauren this time. Lauren? No. Yeah, nothing yet. So they can hear us. We can't hear them. Oh, we just, okay. Yes, great.
Cultural enrichment at PRS, so I am in school a ton. The position requires a lot of in-school involvement and participation in planning events. I'm also a very active volunteer in the classrooms, particularly kindergarten for my youngest this year. I'm really just on to plug and talk to you a little bit about how important the paras have been for my kids' experience in the schools. My kindergarten, for example, is in quite large classes this year at PRS, which we're hoping that will not continue into first grade. The paras are crucial. They're crucial for the social emotional piece. They're crucial for the academics, and the days that we even just have a substitute para can be chaotic. Coming out of COVID, the range of needs, as we all know, for the students is so wide. The paras have been, like I said, just so crucial. We are in a position now, as everyone's been saying, of funding the schools, and I think it's really time to show the paras their value and show up for them. I'm happy to do so just in this capacity, as I'm honored to do that, to be honest. I really do see how hard they work, and I think they're a little undervalued right now, and I hope you'll take that into consideration. Just from what I've seen as a parent, I'm not a teacher, but I do see them working really hard, and I think they should be rewarded for that. I hope you'll take that into consideration.
We're 15 minutes in. We are going to take a few more because I know this is really important, but if we can get like 2 or 3 more people to come up and speak, but then we'll have to cap it at that.
Hi, my name's Natalie Carduce. I'm a recent graduate at Hingham High, and I live on 146 Hull Street, Hingham. I actually grew up in South Hingham, though. Tonight I watched my old principal and my first grade teacher be celebrated for their retirement. It was definitely really touching to see them be honored and appreciated for the years that they've worked at Hingham, and I think that it's time that we show more of that appreciation to our paras. I am not just a graduate of Hingham, I am an old co-president of our Best Buddies Club at Hingham High, and I also participated in unified sports, both unified basketball and unified track. So I really get to see paras interacting with all students for all the students at the high school firsthand. Paras are not just important to the students that they serve in their classrooms, they're important to all students on Unified and all students throughout the school. They've touched so many lives. I know that that the school just would not be the environment that it is without the paras. My class was largely recognized for spreading inclusion and expanding Best Buddies and unified sports, and I think that the paras played a huge role in that, and they deserve to be recognized. One of our paras this year even received the Margaret Contney Coaches Award, and I think that speaks volumes that the girls soccer team can win the state championship, and our coach on Unified is still the one recognized over the soccer coach, because Miss Evie really has touched so many students and has put her all into Unified, and I think that they really need to be shown how much they're appreciated at our school, because their work means so much to me and a lot of other students.
Hi, I'm Cecilia Mann, and I am the other co-president last year of Best Buddies and also a recent graduate of Hingham High School. I live on 20 Presidents Road in Hingham. I've been lucky enough to have received a Hingham education for the last 12 years, and I've been in numerous classrooms with paraeducators, and I've seen that they are the glue to the school. I have had a lot of I've been lucky that I have been have learned so much, but I know that people with disabilities, they struggle a lot more, and without the paraeducators, they would not be able to succeed as much as I have. I've seen so many students and other athletes on unified sports, they've really have thrived because of paraeducators specifically. I've gotten very close with Miss Stanley and Mrs. Evie, and they deserve to have a living wage for how hard they work and how much effort they put in their job day to day. And they have some of the hardest jobs out of the whole school with guiding a lot of our students. So, yeah, thank you.
Sure. Hi, I'm Lori Lucas. I live at 18 Harvest Lane. And at first, I had a statement prepared quickly, but I also wanted to just ask that you continue this open dialogue. There's a lot of us in this room that have taken our time, and we'd like to be heard tonight. I just wanted to start by saying that many of you have campaigned about transparency, which is something that many of us in this community value. And as we continue with negotiations at a time when Hingham schools are most highly regarded, the town and school system has taken a great deal of pride in the fact that Boston Magazine ranked Hingham as the third best public school in Massachusetts. DESE Next Generation MCAS scoring shows Hingham as a leader in ELA and math scores, particularly towards the end of the public school journey in 10th grade when students take that exam. It has also been noted in past school committee meetings that 85% of the school budget is personnel. If that is the case, it would follow that at least 85%, if not 100% of the credit for this success should be attributed to the personnel, and they should be paid for that success. It should not be forgotten that there have been several years in which teachers have received little or no raises due to economic constraints. My second statement is a reminder that outside of our full day requirements, teachers take on additional costs that are not compensated for. Writing recommendations, attending PTO functions, assisting in school events such as graduation and prom, leading extracurricular activities, many of which they are not fairly compensated for. Sitting on cross-jurisdictional teams such as special ed, math, equity, and inclusion, purchasing classroom supplies on their own, and if all of those hours and elements were properly calculated and compensated, I am convinced that any budget increase would fail to match those earnings. I'd also like to end with a personal note about Pride Prom that happened this past weekend, put on by Hingham High School students, and how the people who showed up were the teachers, the paraeducators, a nurse, and friends of the teachers to do what we do best, which is support the youth of Hingham. Thank you.
Have the next few talk within like 5 minutes. We can get everybody in.
Hi, I'm Glenda Garland, 19 Autumn Circle. I teach AP Seminar and Television Production at the high school. I've had 2 children come through the system, 2016 and 2014. So many of my colleagues have already said pretty much what I want to say, which is, I think, to me, a testament to them and the fact that between all of us, we can cover anything. And so I would like to stand here before you and also ask that you negotiate fairly with us. Part of being valued is being told that we're valued, and being told that we're valued in a way that compares with, like, say, someone who is working as a computer scientist, people who have other jobs. People think that teachers are different. We're not, except for our commitment to our kids. Thank you very much.
I'll be quick, like I said, because there are other people here as well. Ben Lockheim, 15 Gardner Street, high school history teacher. I also have a kindergartner who is at South Elementary and a 3-year-old. I'd just like to first say thank you for giving us the opportunity and extending it so we can all share our different experiences and viewpoints. I guess beyond what everybody else is saying, wouldn't like to repeat. I would just like to say that the most, and I appreciate all of the passion that you guys spoke towards during the override, and were very helpful in getting that, and we're very supportive of that, obviously, and wanted all of those things. I think the most influential and most impactful was when students spoke, and I was at the town hall. I was a silent rep in negotiations here as well. So, and when the students spoke during town hall about the seminal moments, and the students who spoke here about those very impactful moments and those imperative kind of transformational moments, I know that changed votes. And I know that there were people at that town hall who weren't going to vote, one of them spoke, who weren't going to vote for the override, and then decided to do that. And I think it's imperative that we carry that out about those moments that teachers had on students, teachers and parents. So I think that it's essential that we carry that out. I also, as a parent, I have a daughter, like I said, who's at South. She has Mrs. DeMartinez. She just brought home her journal for the year that shows all of, she shares weekly. I'm sure other elementary school teachers doing kindergarten school teachers do things like this. She shared weekly what she did over the weekend. And I looked at September compared to now, and just my colleagues will give me a hard time because I get emotional pretty easily, but that moved me. That got me emotional. And it takes a village, and we all know that. I know I'm preaching to the choir. It takes all the paras that helped her, and there are several of them in the room here right now. And Mrs. DeMartinez and everybody else that was incredibly influential on her progress and growth. And I think that it is just, I think we need to be, as a member of the community, as a citizen of the town, I think we need to be fair and decent to the paras and the teachers. So that's all that I'm asking. Thank you.
I'm Lizzie Eldridge, 154 Union Street. I come here today with a lot of different hats on. I'm the mother of 4 children They all went through the Hingham school system. 2 had special needs, and 1 had full-time para for at least a year and a half, and then part-time for the rest of the time. I'm also the mother of a paraprofessional, and I apologize to the teachers in here. I didn't know that this was also about their salaries and their negotiations, but as far as being a mother of a paraprofessional, I can tell you that I rarely see my daughter because she's working 3 other jobs in addition to being a paraprofessional. So tonight she's out working. So I did want to come and speak about the fact that I think what she does is really important, but also I think that when I spoke to her about her job, all of her friends and the other paraprofessionals either have, they are married to a spouse who is really a full-time wage earner, or their kids, like my daughter, who are a couple years out of college, they're living at home, and they are working 2 or 3 other jobs. So I do think for what she does, and at one point this year, a student tried to attack her with a pair of scissors, and I'm sort of thinking, is this worth it for like no salary at all? And we're supporting her, we're having her live with us, we take care of her dog because she's never home. And I do think that that's a really important thing. I think the fact that these paraprofessionals have to live at home, and I think that limits the Hingham school systems to the kind of paraprofessionals that they could get. I think that what you're basically doing is you are having people who are paraprofessionals who either basically come from upper class, probably a majority white backgrounds, because they have to live at home. They grew up in Hingham. And I think that if you were able to offer paraprofessionals real living salaries, you might have a much larger pool to choose from, a much more diverse pool. You know, you hear about them, people wanting more diversity in this town, and I don't see how you can do that, because it's just becoming more and more a town for the wealthy, and the kids who do the paraprofessional jobs, they have to live at home, and they're still working 2 or 3 jobs. I mean, my daughter, in addition to that, is going to school to get her master's to be a teacher, and she is so chronically fatigued and working so hard, but her heart is all in it with these kids. And I work up at South Shore Hospital in the operating room. I'm a pediatric anesthesiologist. I take care of a lot of kids from the school system, and my daughter's down at Foster, and they all know my daughter. They love my daughter. The teachers know, they have her on speed. I mean, the patients' mothers have them on my daughter on speed dial, and I don't even know her phone number. So I think that's kind of interesting. When I go to say I can't say anything, about for HIPAA, they've already texted her and said, oh, your mom's taking care of my child. So I do think that you really need to think about that as far as diversity and getting people from other backgrounds and trying to support these kids who are working so hard and doing all these other jobs. I think the other thing is that sorry. Okay. Okay. Can I just say one last thing? As a ex-advisory committee member years ago, I fought tooth and nail with Dottie Gallo. And I mean, I was the arch nemesis of the school committee because I felt that they needed to spend their money more wisely. And one of the things I always said is that it's all about relationships and not about like whether or not they have some kind of computer or they have a fancy weightlifting room or whatever. It's about the relationships. I went to Lincoln School. There was no gym. There was no cafeteria. We had a lot of different things. And that's what the kids remember. And I think that's what you have to remember. Thanks. Sorry.
My name is Donna Harkin. I'm a local resident of Hingham. Both my kids went through the school system, and the paraprofessionals helped them so much through life and getting where they are today. And I just think it's on a town so wealthy as Hingham, they should do better for the teachers and stand up and give them what they want. Thank you. Bye.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Moynihan. I live at 17 Delpit Drive in Hingham. I was not planning on speaking today. I was here to support the teachers and the paras. However, and listening to the nice comments toward the recent retirees, I found it a very impressive fact that Hingham had great teachers stay with its school district for their entire career. I'm sorry. With that said, I find it hard to believe that this town will be able to keep those teachers for a long term in the future. The risk of adverse selection increases as better teachers leave for greener pastures. Please consider the risk you run by not paying teachers and paras their fair wage. This town is known for a great school system, which my family moved to this town for the school system, and you risk losing that with losing those teachers. So please think about that.
Evan Doherty, 14 Plymouth River Road. I did not also plan on speaking, so this is going to be a quick one. So I just want to speak on my end-of-year unified track banquet. I think this enough speaks volumes to how important these teachers and paraeducators have on students, not just with disabilities, but other students who are volunteering their time to help these kids. My end-of-the-year banquet, I ended my speech by mentioning everything my class and I were lucky enough to accomplish this year at the high school, especially this year, for all the clubs, winning sports games and championships, and of course, starting the Red Army and getting hundreds of students to come together to support one thing, one team, one game. I think that I am most proud of the relationships I've been able to build with students with disabilities, and that is because of all the work our teachers and paraeducators do, time in and time out, to make this possible for our students with disabilities to build friendships with their teammates. Two that come to mind are Jack Carlton and Brennan Burnett, students that stay with Miss Stanley and Miss Eby all day long. And I was fortunate enough to come and visit and see how much of an impact and importance these teachers have on these kids. So, to our paraeducators, thank you for all you do. We love you guys.
Hi. Looks like I'm last. Jacqueline Beaupre, co-president of the Hingham Education Association and science teacher at the high school. Just thank you for letting me speak a couple sentences here. I just wanted to reach out to you and the community and thank everyone for helping pass the override. It was so important for our schools, so thank you again for that. It meant a lot to us as Hingham educators to have the support of the community and the school committee as we work to make sure all students have the opportunity to thrive and reach their potential. So we hope to continue to have everyone's support as we continue increasingly difficult negotiations. We need fair contracts for all the HA members, and that includes a living wage for the paraeducators. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your messages. We are reading them all. We are receiving them all. As we are negotiating, I appreciate Ben saying it takes a village, and I appreciate you making that comment. Also appreciate Lori Lucas looking for transparency. We are in the middle of negotiations, so it is difficult for us to be open about what is happening behind the scenes. Law dictates that we cannot speak openly about it, but to be as transparent as possible, there is something on our website. Carrie Nee is our chair of the salary negotiations, and she's giving updates as she can, and those updates are going on our website. So you can go and find them right on the landing page, and to the extent that we can provide information, we are providing information. So I appreciate your time and efforts. Okay. Okay, so we'll move on to item number 7, Superintendent's report.
So in your, we'll just give it a minute. Yeah.
Got it. Should have asked them to stay. I'd like them to stay.
So there's a lot of end-of-year activities, field days, graduations, award ceremonies as we end the year and celebrate our students. I had in your packet just 2 updates that I wanted to share. The pilot pathways manuals that were developed, one by Ms. Bellis and the arts and music teachers for the fine arts program pathway at the high school. She shared last week that she already had 19 students who had indicated interest, so we're excited. And that was without doing a lot of recruiting and outreach yet. We also are grateful to Mr. Pulaski and his team for the technology engineering pathway, and share that in the handouts as well in the packet, as moving forward for next year as a pilot. So we're grateful to all of those educators for their work in getting that started, and look forward to giving you an update next year.
Really excited to see that that's starting and piloting. It's exciting.
And all the early interest too.
Yeah.
Great.
And that was it.
Okay, great. All right, so number 8, communications. Communications received by the superintendent. Okay. Student communications, we have lost our students to graduation, I believe. So other communications, I've received a request from a community organization that rents out a space at the high school asking for permission to put up signage while they are using the facilities. Permission for advertising services on school property requires the school committee to grant permission. Therefore, we'll be taking that up at a future meeting. It's likely going to be our meeting in July.
And it looks like it's Dr. Adams' call. It's I think it's number 6 of, basically anyone who rents out a portion of the building or grounds is limited to the portion of the building and grounds that they're renting. So if you're renting, say, the auditorium, that's what you're renting out. You're not renting out the front of the building or a field.
Okay.
So, and that's unless they have special permission from the superintendent. So I don't know that we need to take that up.
Okay. Want to take a look at that with legal counsel? Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, so anything else? Any other communications? Okay, all right. Number 9 is unfinished business, which we don't have any. So we'll move on to number 10, new business. 10.1 is to discuss a proposed grade 8 student trip to Washington, D.C. in 2024 and act as appropriate. So Dr. Adams and I believe Mr. McCullough? No, or Derek's, Mr. Smith. Okay. What?
Any of you.
Good evening. 3 times in one night to the podium. I think that it's a personal record at the very least. So yes, we are here to speak to you about our proposed trip to DC again next year. We're looking to go in early May. I believe the dates that we are looking at May 1st through 3rd. Similar trip that as we've done in the past. We did travel by air this last year. That went quite well, with the exception of a lengthy delay for one group. But even in that, we did receive some really great feedback from other people who were traveling on that same flight as our students and chaperones in that group, lucky enough to be delayed for hours and hours, complimenting our students' behavior and our chaperones' hard work and supervision. So beyond what they get with the trip and seeing the sights and visiting our nation's capital, the experience of traveling without mom and dad present, I think, is a valuable one. It's a life skill that serves them well. And, anytime I get unsolicited praise from somebody out of state, we'll take it. That's a feather in our cap, I'd say. But we are hoping to have the same trip, similar cost, slightly more expensive, as everything will be come next spring, but hopefully you can support our request to travel to DC again next year. You're welcome.
Jen?
We received during, I believe, part of the civics emails, we received an email from a concerned student regarding the cost of the DC trip from this previous year, and had felt that there were some of that friends who couldn't attend due to financial reasons and had asked about more financial aid available. And I replied back on behalf of the committee and explained that there is a process for that. And I just wanted to, because this is an entire grade going, whereas where the other ones it's more like 15, 20 kids at the high school. But this is an entire grade. have we looked at reaching out to any other groups to help with the financial aid? Or, I mean, I know it's confidential, so I know as a committee we don't know all the details because it is so confidential. But it is a concern of mine that a student in a group of 300 kids might not be able to attend for financial reasons.
And I feel the same way. You know, it is a class trip open to every student who expresses an interest, and we do do our best to do outreach to families. Any family that requested financial aid was granted, to my knowledge, some degree of financial aid. There very well may be families who didn't feel comfortable seeking out that. So I think that at the very least we can do a better job of emphasizing the fact that there are funds available, and we can work with other agencies if we can identify them in the community who could help support students. We've had families in the past just, unsolicited, I'll pay for 2 students, which is incredible that we get to work in a community as generous as this one. Our PTO offers funds for students to travel, as does Grand Classroom. They help to defray costs. So to my knowledge, no family that requested or needed aid was not given some degree of aid. But we will continue to do so in the future, and we do recognize that it is an expensive trip, and hope that it is not something that prevents somebody from taking advantage of the opportunity to travel.
Yeah, no, I figured that was the case. Maybe it just sounds like maybe more outreach, just getting the word out for those families.
For sure.
Just to add on to, I'm sorry, Mrs. Smith. Of course. We also are launching earlier this year to give people the chance to extend those payments out over 12 months as opposed to the 6-month crunch from October to May. So we had an informational meeting recently, explaining the outline. We had close to 150 people there. So
yes, and I was not there. I have an 8th grader next year.
We all know. But we recognize that it's a big number. We're trying to find ways to get as many kids who want to go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Derek, could you speak to the dates are May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd?
Correct.
Traditionally, the policy or procedure has been not to have field trips in May and June, likely because of MCAS testing and all of the requirements. Can you talk about you're still going to be able to meet the requirements and the scheduling that's needed?
Before we looked at these dates, we did look at the traditional window of testing, and we can get all of our testing accomplished in the time frame with our travel dates set as May 1st through 3rd. So that obviously is, we certainly wouldn't send our students away during MCAS testing season if we couldn't accomplish the testing in a timely manner, without any sort of negative impact on students who may miss school for medical reasons, need time for makeup exams. So we have it mapped out so that all testing and makeup days will fall well within that time frame.
Thank you. Tim?
I'm just curious, with the percentage of the class who stayed back and who went on the trip this year was comparable to other years? If there were more kids that stayed back this year?
More kids went as a percentage.
More kids went?
Yes.
Awesome.
227 out of 260.
Okay.
So we're usually 250 out of 330. So we have
Okay.
32 kids.
Yeah. Well, as a fellow history teacher, I was worried that kids would be too heartbroken by not going to Gettysburg. So that was,
That was just the kids.
Washington's
10. Any other questions? No. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
Thanks very much. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed grade 8 student trip to Washington, D.C. on May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, 2024.
I will second.
Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Ally? Aye. Tim? Aye. Carrie?
Aye.
Aye. Michelle? Matt? Aye. Great, and I'm an aye as well. You're approved. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Thank you. Okay, 10.2, to review professional development and act as appropriate. Dr. Adams?
So this year, last year, our professional development plan expired. It was a 5-year plan.
We decided this year, instead of creating a longer plan, to really focus on a 2-year plan that would really match the strategic plan, as well as allow us to develop some short-term, long-term goals that match the strategic goals in the strategic plan. So tonight, we're presenting to you a 2-year strategic plan. Want to thank all the educators and administrators, school and district leaders who participated in giving feedback along the way. The group met all year, collected data from surveys, and really did some thinking about what are some achievable goals within the next 2 years to really match and move the district forward. And I'll pass it on to Katie, who's going to give us a brief overview. You have a presentation, and you also have a longer document that sort of shares out more detail.
It's good to stand and stretch after sitting for so long. So this evening's professional development plan, as Dr. Adams mentioned, really is a companion document to the strategic plan, and this is the second of 3 plans that we'll be presenting. So we presented the technology plan, professional development plan this evening, and we'll be presenting our equity plan. All 3 plans really are centered around professional development, so you'll find some overlap between some of the themes that you're seeing in the 3 documents. And as we've said before, we really are rooting all of our work and all of these plans in our strategic objectives and indicators. And as Dr. Adams mentioned, that we do want to thank our committee, who was very dedicated to this work. So we wanted to thank Mary Andrews, Joanne Bellis, and Michelle Romano, representing the directors, Monica Matthews, our K-5 writing specialist, Nancy Busey, a grade 1 teacher at Plymouth River, Cassie Pacella, a special educator at Plymouth River School, Lori Jacobs, and Nicole Nozek, representing the assistant principals. And so as part of this process of developing the plan, very much like the technology plan, we engaged in some research. We did some visioning sessions, had some focus groups, and also did surveys, both of elementary staff and secondary staff, understanding that the professional development needs of the 2 groups are different. Through that work of gathering the data, listening to the different stakeholders, and reviewing the surveys, we did land on a vision statement that complements the strategic plan. So the professional development offerings will be purposeful, collaborative, and responsive to the needs of educators, and will be designed to center the inclusion and success of all students. Professional development offerings will develop and leverage some of the internal capacity and the leadership that we have in the district, and we will also partner with external organizations to further areas for strategic growth. We then crafted 4 goals. Again, many of these will be very similar themes to those of the strategic plan. So the implementation of high-quality curriculum and universally designed instruction, implementation of inclusive and culturally responsive practices, fostering a safe and supportive school environment, and a 4th goal around mentoring and leadership development. So that first goal around high quality and universally designed curriculum and instruction, again, these are themes that you've been hearing about all year. One of our biggest rocks, of course, is our elementary reading initiative and all of the professional development that will be centered around high quality literacy and evidence-based instruction. We'll also be doing some complementary work around elementary writing. We are in the early stages of researching math programs for potential future adoption for elementary math. At the secondary level, we've really been working around articulating our curriculum and unit guides in order to begin to embed universally designed principles and inclusive practices. We will be working closely with our new special education administrators to design some professional development for our special educators in support of the new IEP process that DESE has initiated. And then we'll be continuing some work in departments, including science and social studies, around specific curriculum initiatives and providing additional professional development particularly open science at the middle school and investigating history curriculum in social studies at the elementary level. And then finally, we'll of course be continuing our work around MTSS, and so that will include professional development not only for our educators but also for our interventionists and paras. The second goal around implementation of inclusive and culturally responsive practices, we will be doing a significant amount of professional development for our district leaders around inclusion and culturally responsive practices. We just launched, with help from a grant from Hingham Ed Foundation, K-12 Inclusive Practices Fellows Program to again really build capacity and leadership among our educators to help lead some of the work. So we already have 20 educators who have signed on to participate in this work that will launch this summer. And again, grateful to Hingham Ed Foundation for their support of that work. And we will be continuing our PD partnerships with DESE for two of the academies that they launched this year, one around culturally responsive practices and the other around inclusive practices. And finally, we will be using our inclusive practice fellows and our district leaders to really take that inclusive and culturally responsive practice PD not only during early release time, but really embedding it throughout all of our meetings, faculty meetings, department meetings, and so on. So rather having it be a standalone professional development, really working to weave that professional development theme throughout all of the work that we do. And finally, again, we will be working closely with our paraprofessionals to do some additional work around those inclusive and culturally responsive practices. In terms of fostering a safe and supportive school environment, we'll be continuing our work around civil rights, bullying, and harassment. And we engage in annual trainings around that, but we'll be continuing to refine and bolster that work. We do have another DESE partnership with what's known as the S3 Academy, which is taking a holistic look at student supports and doing some professional development around that. We'll be working with our counselors and student service providers on some tailored professional development around trauma-informed instruction and SEL for them. Again, working with our paraprofessionals who again are on kind of the front line of working with students with their social emotional learning needs. And to that end, taking a look at some additional MTSS tiered programs and perhaps partnering with the author Jessica Minahan, or in conversations with her to do some professional development around the behavior code, which will support that work. And then finally, in terms of mentoring, we already have a very strong mentoring program, but we will be taking a look at some of our strategic initiatives and kind of updating some of the professional development and the mentoring program to make sure that that is a theme throughout. We will also, as we have learned this year, by onboarding so many new leaders, we found that it would be helpful to develop some additional resources for leaders as they onboard, to make sure that they have kind of at their fingertips district policies, procedures, really a deep understanding of our strategic priorities, and an emphasis on inclusive practices so that our leaders are hitting the ground running when they onboard. And then finally, we would love to build additional capacity amongst our educators who might be seeking leadership roles in the future, and making sure that we're providing opportunities for them to participate in district leadership. And that would include accessing hours they might need to pursue administrative licensure and just dip their toe in the leadership pool. So those are the main goals for the year. I just wanted to stress that this is not the professional development catalog. That is a 50 or 60 page document that itemizes every offering that we have. This is just an overview, kind of the 60,000 foot view of our strategic priorities when it comes to professional development. So happy to take any questions that you might have. All right. All right, well, stay tuned. Stay tuned for the equity plan. And again, this is number 2 of 3. I'll be back for more. So.
Thank you very much. Okay, 10.3 was to receive a social studies program review update. We're going to table this.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Matt has a question. I apologize. Yes.
great question, Matt, and I do appreciate, Allie has asked me that question a few times as well, and I do appreciate that question. So our biggest rock next year is the elementary reading program adoption at the elementary. And so while we do have other strategic priorities, including researching our math program adoption and some of the cross-curricular work, we know that that is our big rock, and we will work other things around it. Similarly, at the secondary level, we know that kind of the universally designed practices is our biggest rock. And so all of those strategic indicators are not created equal in that we know that for the elementary and secondary, we'll prioritize those, and the others may take a kind of a slower role as we go. But that's a great question. I do appreciate that the committee has asked that. So we don't want to do everything everywhere all at once, and really be clear on what our strategic priorities are. Thanks for the question.
I think I would also add strengthening our connection, the connection between special ed and gen ed is also an area of need. And working with Dr. Cataldo when she arrives in July to sort of start to begin to outline some short-term and long-term goals. As well as you saw in the plan, sort of supporting most of our paraprofessionals, our special education paraprofessionals, supporting them in their roles and their needs to meet the needs of the students as well. So I think that is an area where you don't see much in the plan. You see paraprofessionals, but that connection between gen ed and special ed and bridging that connection I think is missing, but we're looking forward to developing some short-term and long-term goals around special education with Dr. Cataldo. So stay tuned for that.
And in terms of the actual professional development catalog, I'm very much looking forward to working with Dr. Cataldo and finalizing some of the specific offerings that will lead from this plan.
Thank you. We need to approve the
We need to, yes, before we move on. I apologize. Okay, so if somebody wants to make a motion.
Are you good, Matt? With all your? I will make a motion to approve the professional development plan for the years 2023 through 2025.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, Ally? Aye. Tim?
Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. All right, that's approved. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. So 10.3, we're going to table until next meeting. 10.4 is to discuss and confirm school committee summer meeting schedule. So historically, I think I might have had one summer of this where we had one meeting in July and August instead of doing every other week. So I was going to propose that we go back to that unless somebody thought otherwise, if you felt like we needed to have 2 meetings in July and August. So should we try to come up with that schedule now, given the vacations? Margaret, I know you've got some things booked in.
July and August date?
Yeah.
I guess someone should throw out a date and see if it works.
Okay.
How about Monday, July 10th?
Sure.
Yep,
That works for me.
that works.
All right. Do you want to do?
May I'm getting on a flight the next morning.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Do you want to do 7 p.m.? We could do earlier.
Do you want to do earlier? 7 p.m.? Does it
That's
work?
fine.
Are you okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
7
Okay,
good?
7's good. Yeah.
Good for you?
Okay.
July 10th.
What am I
July
doing?
10th?
7 p.m.
And then, somebody want to throw out a date in August?
Look across, it would be August 7th. Like it's a month later,
Okay,
probably. Because then we're going to want to start meeting again the end of August,
okay,
right?
yep.
Yeah.
So we'll do August 7th. And we will start doing our bi-monthlies August 28th. Does that work? Is that the long weekend? That's the long weekend.
It is.
Oh, no, that's the week before. So August 28th and then.
Labor Day's the next Monday.
Labor Day is the next Monday, and then, yeah, so then we can start doing the bi-monthly on the August 28th. Okay.
So,
Tim and Michelle, we do have salary negotiations that day until 6:30.
On the 20th, yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of a lot, to be
Is it?
honest
Yeah.
with you. Right?
Yes.
I mean, for everybody, for the HEA folks too, who
Yeah.
like to attend the meetings. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the 21st? August 21st?
I'm going to be away, but I
I'll be
can
away.
Zoom in.
You'll be away as well.
It's too far.
What about a Tuesday? Or should we do, the first week of school's tough, right?
Maybe that Tuesday the 29th.
Tuesday the 29th? Okay. Is that working for everybody? Matt, is that okay for you?
The 29th, are we saying?
Yep.
Yeah, it should, I mean, yeah. Yes, that works fine for me.
Okay.
You never know. I'm not on vacation, so.
Okay. Okay, all right.
The convocation.
Okay. Okay, so 10.5, to vote to appoint the chair of the Finance, Capital, and Facilities Subcommittee to be the signator on warrants. So as an operating procedure, we periodically receive warrants for items purchased by the district. The warrants are reviewed and approved for payment by the school committee. Our policy indicates the school committee chair or designee may sign on behalf of the school committee. Over the past couple of years, soon after the Finance and Capital Subcommittee was put into place, we typically had voted to put the chair of the that subcommittee as a designee. So I was going to propose, now that we've got a new finance chair, propose to vote to have Jen also be a signer of warrants. Any? Okay. Great. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Jen Benham, Chair of the Finance, Capital, and Facilities Subcommittee, to be a signatory on warrants.
Great. Any further discussion? No. All those in favor? Ally? Tim?
Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Okay, great. Thank you.
Pretty funny if you voted against that one.
No, thanks. I'm not interested in that.
Good protest vote.
Okay, so 10.6, we are also going to table this one until the next meeting, as I believe we were waiting for some information on donations that we're receiving as a district. So 10.7, to review surplus materials and act as appropriate, and I am assuming this is Aisha Opong.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
For this one, we have 3 different requests for a list of surplus items. We have iPads from the technology department, textbooks from the business and social studies department, and cassettes, videotapes, and older material that's not being used by the Foster Library. And the list has been provided here. In all cases, based on my communication and review and discussion with the people involved in those items are no longer useful to us because they're either outdated or it's more costly to repair them or to continue using them. So we'd like to get your authority and approval to dispose of them at the least cost to Hingham, please.
I laughed when I saw the cassettes.
Does the history department want this stuff? As relics?
Some of the cassettes have been used so much that they can't even be used anymore, even if they had cassette players.
Yeah, we could show the kids how to rewind the
Yes.
cassettes and what we used to have to
Yes,
do when
with a
the
pencil.
tape would come out. Okay, so 3 different items, 3 different motions. Somebody want to make a motion?
I will. First, I'll move to declare as surplus iPads from the technology department listed in the packet. It's a kind of a long list. I won't read every serial number. And to authorize the Director of Business and Support Services to dispose of them at the least cost to the town of Hingham.
I will second.
Any further discussion? No. All those in favor, Ally?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Jen? Michelle? Sorry. Matt? And I'm an aye as well. All right, that's approved.
All right. I'll move to declare surplus textbooks from the Hingham High School, from the well, I guess it is the Hingham High School Business and Social Studies Departments, and to authorize the Director of Business and Support Services to dispose of them at the least cost to Hingham.
Second? Any further discussion? All those in favor? Ally?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Okay, that's approved. And the last one?
I will move to declare as surplus cassette tapes from the Foster Elementary School's library, and to listed below, and to authorize the Director of Business and Support Services to dispose of them at the least cost to Hingham.
I will second.
Any further discussion? No. Okay, all those in favor? Ally?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Okay, approved. Thank you. All right. Number 11, subcommittee and project reports and warrants signed. I know it's early on when we were assigned our new roles, but any updates, Ally?
Nothing.
Tim?
The educational programming is going to meet next Thursday at 3 o'clock, I believe.
So since our last meeting, salary negotiations has met with Unit A 3 times, and we have met with Unit B twice, and we'll meet with them on Wednesday to further contract negotiations. As mentioned earlier, the committee has a contract negotiation tab on the website, so people can stay, and we'll all update those as regularly as possible. Middle school, the school council met on May 30th. It was the last meeting of the year. And there was a question about school council training and when that'll be scheduled, so we can connect offline, but we wanted to make sure that happens. They have selected their One Book, One School read this year, and it's linked by Gordon Corman, and it sounds great, and it'd be really, I guess it addresses anti-Semitism, and it seems like a really good read, so.
Jen?
I attended the South School Council meeting 2 weeks ago. And no updates, just that, well, there was one update that they're moving to the 2-year plan for the school. It's 2 years, 2 years. They just did the first year, so they'll just do the second year. So it was just like a change to update the council. And school improvement plan, thank you. And finance and facilities will be meeting this Friday at 9 o'clock.
Great. Michelle? High School Council, last meeting of the year tomorrow night, and then Building Committee on Thursday. Yes, Building Committee Thursday.
Great. Matt, anything?
No.
Nope. Okay. We have our final Foster School Council meeting on Wednesday, and there are warrants in your packet from me. Okay. Any other items not reasonably known within 48 hours? No. Okay. So we do have executive session, so we are going to adjourn and not return to open session. So if somebody can make a motion? Yes.
I'll make a motion to adjourn to executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, not to return to open session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining for HEA Unit A teachers and Unit B paraprofessionals, as an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body, and the chair so declares.
Yes, I declare.
And to approve minutes of the executive session held on May 22nd, 2023, as an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body, and the chair so declares.
I declare.
I will second.
Okay, all those in favor? Ally? Tim? Carrie? Jen? Michelle?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well.